In some parts of the world, a child learns to balance in the saddle long before they take their first confident steps on the earth. To them, the ground is not simply a place to walk. It is a canvas meant to be flown over. The morning air here hits your lungs with a startling, icy clarity. It carries the scent of crushed wild sage and the sweet, earthy musk of argol, the dried animal dung used to fuel the fires that warm the nomadic hearth. Before you open your eyes, you feel it. A low, rhythmic vibration drumming through the thick soles of your boots. It starts as a whisper in the earth, then grows into a steady, pulsing heartbeat. You look toward the horizon, where the frost is just beginning to melt from the pale green grass under the first light of dawn. Out of the lingering morning mist, shadows begin to form. First dozens, then hundreds. You hear the sharp snorts of breath crystallizing in the cold air, the tossing of thick, unruly manes, and the soft, urgent calls of a herder wrapped in a heavy wool coat, singing a low, melodic whistle to guide the flock. The animals move not in straight lines, but like water flowing over the landscape. They are stout, wild-eyed, and endlessly beautiful. Here in the vastness of the steppe, you are not just witnessing an animal in its habitat, you are meeting the very soul of a nation. Welcome to Culture Journey. Today, we are standing under the vast, unbroken canopy of the eternal blue sky in Mongolia. This is a land defined by its staggering, almost incomprehensible openness, a sweeping sea of green and gold grasses, jagged mountains, and arid deserts that stretch further than the human eye can process. It is a place that can make you feel incredibly small. But to the nomadic families who have called this immense terrain home for millennia, this landscape is not empty. It is a bustling, living network of seasons, migrations, and ancient survival. And at the absolute center of this world, anchoring the human spirit to the earth, is the Mongolian horse. We are not looking at a pet today, nor are we simply looking at an agricultural tool. We are stepping into a partnership so profound, so deeply woven into the fabric of daily life and identity, that it is impossible to understand this culture without first understanding the creature that carries it. If you were standing here right now, with the endless wind brushing against your face, what would you notice first? It might not be what is there, but what is missing. There are no fences. For thousands of miles, the land rolls on without wire, without boundaries, without the neat, squared-off enclosures that define the countryside in most of the world. The horses here live in a state of semi-wildness. They are not locked in stalls or fed measured scoops of grain. They roam the steppe, finding their own water, digging through winter snow to find buried grass, and organizing themselves into complex family herds led by a dominant stallion. What would surprise you is how untamed they look. If your idea of a horse is the towering, polished, high-strung thoroughbred of an English racing estate, the Mongolian horse will look entirely different. They are short, stocky, and immensely powerful. Their heads are large, their legs are thick, and their manes and tails are long, coarse, and unruly, whipping wildly in the steppe winds. They are rugged. They are survivors. But watch what happens when a herder walks into the herd. There is a silent language spoken through posture, movement, and firm resolve. The herder does not coddle the horse. Using a long wooden pole called an urga, they forge a tough, unyielding partnership. It is a bond built not on gentle requests, but on the mutual respect required to survive the harshness of the steppe. This bond extends far beyond the saddle. It pours directly into the silver bowls of the people. In the summer months, if you were to approach one of the round, white felt gurs, the traditional nomadic tents dotting the green valleys, you would likely be invited inside. The hospitality of the steppe is legendary. As you duck through the low wooden door, the bright sunlight gives way to a warm, fire-lit interior. The smell of boiling mutton and salty milk tea fills the space. And there, sitting by the hearth, you would be handed a silver bowl filled with arag. This is fermented mare's milk. It is tart, slightly fizzy, and carries the sharp, wild taste of the grazing lands. The horse does not just carry the family, it literally feeds them. It is the lifeblood of the summer. The rhythmic, repetitive sound of a wooden paddle churning the milk inside a large leather sack is the soundtrack of a Mongolian summer afternoon. It is a sound of peace, of plenty, and of deep connection to the animals grazing just outside the door. This relationship, however, begins at the very dawn of a person's life. To truly understand how deep this runs, we have to look at the children. On a bright July afternoon, the steppe transforms. The quiet grazing lands become the stage for Naadam, the ancient festival of the three manly sports: wrestling, archery, and most importantly, horse racing. Imagine standing near the finish line of a Naadam race. This is not a manicured oval dirt track spanning a mile or two. This is a brutal cross-country endurance test stretching up to 25 kilometers across the raw, uneven, open steppe. You hear the race before you see it. The rumble of hundreds of hooves sounds like rolling thunder pulling across the plains. A massive cloud of dust rises into the blue sky, and then they break over the ridge. But look closely at the riders. They are not grown men. They are children. Boys and girls, some as young as 6 or 7 years old, wearing bright, colorful tunics, their faces smeared with dust and sweat. Many ride bareback, holding nothing but the reins and the deep, instinctive trust they share with the animal beneath them. As they gallop past a blur of muscle and wind, you can hear the children singing. It is a high, rhythmic chant called the gingo, a song sung to praise the horse, to calm its heart, and to encourage its spirit. Breathing together, the horse and child move as one single, rushing entity. The pride in the eyes of the parents watching is not just for the child's bravery, but for the horse's endurance. When the race is over, the winning horse is celebrated more than the rider. Poems are recited in its honor, and its head is anointed with sweet mare's milk. The horse is the hero. This reverence is not just physical, it is spiritual. As the sun sets and the deep ink-blue night settles over the valley, the temperature drops rapidly. Inside the gerr, the family gathers around the central stove. It is here, in the warmth and the quiet of the evening, that the horse takes on another form. A musician brings out an instrument. It has a long wooden neck, a trapezoidal body covered in animal skin, and at the very top of the neck, carved with exquisite detail, is the head of a horse. This is the Morin Khuur, the horse-head fiddle. The musician draws a wooden bow across the 2 strings. The sound that fills the small, felt-lined room is astonishing. It is deep, resonant, and mournful, a haunting timbre that sits perfectly between the vibration of a cello and the raw ache of the human voice. But as the tempo increases, the music changes. The musician uses the bow to mimic the exact sounds of the steppe. You hear the soft, rhythmic clopping of a horse at a trot. You hear the sharp, wind-whipped gallop of a wild herd. You even hear the high, lonely neigh of a mare calling out to her foal. The strings of the Morin Khuur are traditionally made from horsehair, the finer hair from a mare's tail for the higher string, and the coarser hair from a stallion's tail for the lower string. The instrument is quite literally the voice of the horse translated through human hands. Legends say the first Morin Khuur was carved by a grieving young man whose beloved winged horse was tragically killed. Unable to bear the silence, he used the animal's bones, skin, and hair to create an instrument so he could hear his friend's voice again. When you sit in a gerr, listening to this music wash over you as the wind howls outside the canvas walls, you realize that the horse is the muse of the Mongolian soul. It is their art, their music, their sorrow, and their joy. It is impossible to sit in this space and not feel the weight of history pressing gently against the present moment. This same sturdy, unassuming horse grazing outside the door right now is the exact genetic descendant of the animals that 8 centuries ago reshaped the globe. History tells us of empires and conquerors, but it often forgets the mechanics of how those worlds were built. The vast Mongolian Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in human history, was not built on the back of superior steel or revolutionary architecture. It was built on grass, and it was built on hooves. The ancestors of these very horses carried riders across deserts, over frozen mountain passes, and through impossible distances, establishing the Yam network, the world's first great transcontinental postal system. They connected the east to the west, carrying silk, spices, technologies, and ideas across the known world. The Mongolian horse was the engine of globalization long before the word existed, yet they remain unchanged. They have not been bred into fragile showpieces. They remain the tough, intelligent, loyal companions of the steppe. Perhaps nowhere is this resilience more evident than in the dead of winter. If you were to return to this exact valley in January, the world would be unrecognizable. The vibrant green is gone, replaced by a blinding, unbroken white. The temperature can plummet to 40 degrees below zero. The wind cuts like a physical blade. This is the time of the Zood, the brutal winter phenomenon where deep snow and ice lock the grass away beneath a frozen crust. For the nomadic herder, winter is a relentless battle for survival. But they do not fight it alone. The Mongolian horse grows a dense, thick, woolly coat. They do not wait in barns for hay to be delivered. They march out into the freezing gales, using their incredibly strong hooves to paw through the ice and snow, breaking the crust so they, and the sheep and goats that follow them, can reach the dormant grass below. In a whiteout blizzard, when all landmarks disappear and the sky and earth become one terrifying, swirling sheet of white, a herder trusts their life to the horse. A horse knows the way home when human eyes can see nothing. The bond forged in the warmth of summer becomes a sacred pact of mutual survival in the winter. The human provides guidance and protection from wolves. The horse provides instinct, warmth, and life. As we reflect on this incredible relationship, it forces us to look at our own lives. We live in a world obsessed with speed, engineered by concrete, algorithms, and engines. We move faster than ever, yet we often feel profoundly disconnected from the ground beneath our feet. We build walls to separate ourselves from nature, viewing it as something to be managed, visited on weekends, or kept at a distance. But here on the Mongolian steppe, humanity has chosen a different path. They have chosen continuity. They have recognized that true freedom is not found in dominating the landscape, but in moving with it, in understanding its rhythms, and in finding a partner who speaks the language of the wind. The horse is more than an animal to the Mongolian people. It is their memory. It is the vessel of their identity. As long as there is grass on the steppe, and as long as the Morin Khuur sings in the firelight, the spirit of this culture will continue to gallop forward, unbroken and wild. To ride a horse here is not just to travel across space, it is to ride across time, carrying the ancient heart of a civilization into tomorrow. Thank you for being part of this experience. If you enjoyed walking this path with us, and if you believe in exploring the deeper meanings behind the world's beautiful cultures, we would love for you to subscribe and share this journey with others. We would love to read your thoughts or your own stories of profound connection with the animal world in the space below. Let's continue discovering the world together, not just by looking at it, but by stepping inside it. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive and travel well.